Every professional runs into this, right? That question of, hey, if it's not broken, why fix it? Especially when you're talking about software you use day in, day out. But today, we're going to do more than just look at an update. We're taking a proper deep dive into BobCAD-CAM. We want to figure out why upgrading isn't just, getting a new version, but maybe a real strategic move for your shop.
Exactly. That's the mission here. Let's try and cut through all the usual noise about software updates. We want to find those core benefits, the things that really make a difference to your efficiency, your profitability, how this knowledge can actually help you, like right now. See the real value in an upgrade?
Yeah, and we've got some great stuff to help us do that. Detailed articles, even some visual examples, screenshots from the software itself. The goal is really to give you the insights, help you understand the actual tangible plus points of upgrading BobCAD-CAM. Okay, so let's jump right into the big one, the bottom line question. How can new software features actually save you money out there on the shop floor? This is where it gets really interesting, I think, because it touches tooling, time, materials, all of it.
It really does. And what's fascinating is how sometimes these seemingly small software adjustments can lead to, well, pretty significant savings in how you operate. We're looking at features that are specifically designed to make the actual machining process better, smarter, which means you get a direct return on that investment.
Right. And one of the big examples I understand is this dynamic feed rate control. So for things like, basic profiling, pocketing, advanced roughing, the toolpaths now generate G-code with a dynamic F value.
That's it. And it's a bit of a game changer, honestly. It means the tool isn't just locked into one safe speed for the whole cut. It's constantly adjusting. So if you were looking at the G-code, you'd literally see that F number changing, speeding up where it's clear, slowing down automatically in tight corners or deeper cuts. It's moving at the optimal speed for that specific moment.
Okay.
And the sources we looked at suggest this can, almost halve the machining time in many cases. Plus, it's way better for your tools, less wear and tear.
Wow, cutting runtime by half potentially. While protecting tools. That's huge.
It really is. You're pushing the machine closer to its real capability, but safely.
Okay, so that's a massive control improvement on the machine side. But you mentioned the interface too. The 3-axis Pro toolpaths have full functionality now. Unprecedented control, I think, was the phrase.
Absolutely. And unprecedented control isn't just marketing fluff here. It gets down to some really practical specifics. Take linking strategies, how the tool moves between cuts. You can now control exactly how it links up for different situations. Gaps along the cut, movements between slices, between passes. You get options like shortest path, or maybe retract just to a feed distance for small moves, or maybe retract to a rapid distance, or even right up to a clearance area for bigger jumps.
Right.
What this does is it cuts out thousands of those unnecessary full retractions, where the tool pulls all the way out just to move a tiny bit.
Yeah, that wasted motion adds up fast.
Exactly. Think about plunging back in every single time. This makes it much, much smoother and faster.
Makes sense. And speaking of precision, what about defining the stock for roughing? Any improvements there?
Oh, yeah, definitely. The roughing stock definition lets you actually use surfaces to define your starting stock. This means you can tell the software precisely where the material is, and just as importantly, where it isn't. It cuts down hugely on air cuts.
So no more machining empty space if you've already removed some material.
Spot on. If you've pre-machined something or you're working on a casting, you tell BobCAD to ignore those areas. Saves a ton of time and wear.
Okay, less wasted motion, less wasted time. Got it. What about the G-code itself? Does it help make that more efficient too?
It does. There's something called arc fit definition. This feature lets you really fine-tune how it generates 3D arcs in the toolpath. The result is G-code that's shorter, but still perfectly accurate.
And why is shorter code better?
Well, less code is just dot cleaner. Smaller files load faster on the machine controller, especially older ones. And sometimes really long, complex code can cause the machine to kind of stutter on tiny movements. Shorter code helps smooth that out, better finish, fewer potential errors.
I see. And getting the tool into the material, especially for roughing.
Yeah, good point. You can now add multiple pre-drill positions for roughing toolpaths, so you can define specific spots where you want the tool to enter the material, maybe using a drill first. You can control the entry type, the drill size relative to the tool.
So for deep pockets or tough materials, you can drill a pie level first.
Exactly. Much safer, much more efficient entry, less stress on the tool right at the start of the cut.
Okay, so if we wrap up this first part, it really sounds like these aren't just small tweaks. It's about making the machining more precise, definitely faster, and a lot less wasteful. Big impact on the bottom line. So we've covered cutting costs and time on the machine itself. But what about, the time before you even hit cycle start? Let's switch gears a bit. How does this upgrade help reduce the time you spend actually programming the parts? That could be a huge time sink too.
That's a really important question, isn't it? How can the software make that whole upfront process, well, smoother? And the features here are really focused on simplifying things that used to be complex or automating stuff that was repetitive. Big productivity boost before you even make a chip.
And one standout I saw mentioned was collision detection using wireframes.
Yes. This is pretty neat. You can now just use simple wireframe geometry lines, arcs, rectangles to define areas where you don't want the toolpath to go.
Instead of building a whole solid model just for avoidance?
Precisely. Like the source material said, drawing a rectangle is always easier than building a solid. It's just faster, simpler. And this works for both 2-axis pocketing and the 3-axis Pro features. You just sketch your boundary, tell BobCAD don't go in here, and it prevents those costly collisions. Saves time, saves potentially scrapping a part or damaging a tool.
Makes perfect sense. And sticking with 2-axis, there's a new taper pocket feature. Sounds simple but useful.
It is, and it's a brilliant time saver. You can now just add a taper angle directly to a standard 2-axis pocket feature. No more needing to model a solid just to get an angled wall on a simple pocket.
Oh, okay.
And as the source pointed out, often tool paths generated from just lines and arcs are cleaner, produce better G-code than trying to follow, complex surfaces sometimes. So simpler design, potentially better result.
Now, something that probably affects everyone. Managing tools and operations. The new tool manager. Sounds like a big deal. One of the most important features added in recent years, I think I read.
Oh, it absolutely is. Huge. You can now see right in the tool manager every single tool path strategy that uses a specific tool.
All linked together.
All linked. So let's say a tool breaks, or you need to change its length offset, or maybe you switch to a different diameter tool. You change it once in the tool manager.
And it updates everywhere it's used.
Exactly. All the associated operations update automatically. Think about the errors that prevents. Or the time saved not having to manually hunt down and edit every single operation using that tool. It centralizes everything. It's critical.
Wow. Yeah, I can see that. And the operation manager. Drag and drop sounds nice and intuitive.
It is super simple. You can just drag operations around to change the machining order manually, but it can also automatically resort them for you, like grouping by tool to minimize changes or grouping by setup. And apparently it fixes some numbering quirks from older versions too, just streamlines organizing your whole process.
Okay. And finally, templates seem to be everywhere now, really integrated.
Oh, absolutely. This is a massive time saver across the board. They've really leaned into templates. So first, you've got default parameter templates. You can basically save your favorite settings for, say, roughing aluminum or finishing steel.
There.
Then when you start a new job, you just pick your template like roughing 3D aluminum and boom, all your standard feeds, speeds, step overs, tolerances, they're preloaded. Cuts down setup massively.
Nice. What else?
Then there are job templates. This is even bigger, maybe. You can save an entire job structure.
The whole thing. Stock, tools, operations.
Yep. Stock parameters, the tools you typically use for that kind of part, your preferred programming strategies, feeds, speeds, everything. Save it as a template, maybe called gear blank machining. Next time you have a similar gear blank, you load that template, pick the new geometry, hit compute, and you're basically 90% done. Huge for families of parts.
Okay, that sounds incredibly powerful.
And lastly, the tool library and tool crib. They've improved this too. You can now create multiple separate tool libraries. Maybe one for metric tools, one for standard, one for a specific machine. Better organization. And getting tools from your main library into the crypt for the current job used to be one by one. Now you can just drag and drop multiple tools at once. Much faster setup.
Right, just streamlining every little step. Okay, we've gone pretty deep into the features themselves, the what's new. But, features are only useful if people know how to use them. How do users actually learn all this stuff and, get the most out of their investment? Support and training must be crucial here.
Totally. It connects back to that value proposition, doesn't it? Knowledge is only powerful if you can actually understand it and apply it. And the resources available seem designed to make sure that upgrade translates into real skill and, maximized ROI.
Good to hear. And I saw that online training with a technician is included in all the packages. That sounds like direct access to help.
It is. And here's a tip from the sources. Use that time wisely. Get one of their technicians to actually reprogram one of your common parts, your bread and butter jobs, with you.
Ah, using the new features.
Exactly. They'll probably spot ways to cut machining time or programming time that you might miss on your own. Plus, they record those sessions and send them to you.
Oh, that's great, so you can rewatch it later.
Yeah, a permanent reference.
Okay. And for people who like to learn on their own time or look up specific things, there are blogs too, right?
Yep. On the news section of their website, lots of articles. They cover specific features in detail, answer common questions, talk about new releases, add-ons. You can find some really practical stuff there, like tips to optimize your programming workflow. It's a good resource for ongoing learning.
And for more interaction, they do webinars, bi-weekly, user-driven topics.
That's the setup. Users actually vote on the topics they want covered. Then they do a live session, dive into that subject, and importantly, it's interactive. There's live Q&A.
So you can ask specific questions.
Right. Get clarification right then and there. And just like the training, if you miss one live, all the past webinars are archived on the site, so you can always catch up or review something.
Okay, that sounds like a pretty comprehensive support system alongside the software itself. Well, we've certainly taken a deep dive today into what makes the latest BobCAD-CAM tick, looking at how these features aim to cut costs, save programming time, and how the support helps you actually use it all. It feels like more than just an update.
I think that's the key takeaway. It highlights that upgrading isn't just about getting the newest version number. It's really about potentially gaining a serious competitive edge. Like that quote from the source material said, just one piece of material you don't have to scrap, a 10% reduction of tool cost, the reduction of machining time will pay for the upgrade tenfold. It puts it in perspective.
It really does.
Yeah.
So for you listening, the question maybe isn't just if these features are good, but which specific one could make the biggest immediate difference for you? Is it the dynamic feed rates, cutting cycle time? Is it the job template slashing your programming hours? What part of this deep dive really jumps out as a potential game changer for how you work?
And maybe think beyond that, too. They mentioned adding 170 feature requests in just the last release. So the software is constantly evolving. It makes you wonder, beyond what we talked about today, what other parts of your current workflow do you wish were easier or faster? What's the next big efficiency gain you're hoping software like this will tackle? Food for thought, right?